And now, a great book by Neil Postman called Building a Bridge to the 18th Century, How the Past Can Improve Our Future. This was Neil Postman's last single-authored work. He died in 2003, and this book was printed in 1999. This is a really good book. It's about ideas, and it's about how ideas from the 18th century can help us now. And I think it's pretty much Neil Postman's, I think the summation of his wisdom, I think, can be found in this book. And he does also discuss his other books, like Neil Postman is most known for his The End of Education, Amusing Ourselves to Death, and The Disappearance of Childhood. He wrote on technology and its side effects for humanity. The Disappearance of Childhood was a really good book on essentially the end of innocence and how we don't really protect children much from certain things, violence and sex and things like that, and what kind of consequences that might be, and that is what's called Disappearance of Childhood. He actually also compares it to before even the concept of childhood existed, which was before the Romantic period. And that's when you have children wearing adult clothes and just considered little adults. And then you have this Romantic period where children are actually considered something different than an adult. And he's saying that idea is going away today. That's the Disappearance of Childhood. And there's other books like Technopoly and Amusing Ourselves to Death, which is about technology's damage on our culture and our humanity. And one of his quotes is, "New technology will never replace human values." That's, I think, a very important idea. So I'm going to go through the book and discuss some of the things that I marked, and I hope it will be of use to you. Some of these next few quotes are really about his intention in writing this book, this intellectual memoir, I think it is. So he says here on page 10, "I've no intention of writing still another depressing book about the breakdown of the human spirit. But it may be said here that when people do not have a satisfactory narrative to generate a sense of purpose and continuity, a kind of psychic disorientation takes hold, followed by a frantic search for something to believe in, or, probably worse, a resigned conclusion that there is nothing to find." So I'm also seeing this too, that people do need a sense of purpose, and I don't see that sense of purpose being found in our education systems from elementary up to university. There's all kinds of science and facts, but there's very little contemplation of human purpose or human nature, human ends that you can find in literature, for example. On the next page, he continues, "I write for those who are still searching for a way to confront the future, a way that faces reality as it is, that it is connected to a humane tradition, that provides sane authority and meaningful purpose." So I think that's his intent anyways. And just under that, there's a nice little quote from Henry David Thoreau. It says, "All our inventions are but improved means to an unimproved end." And again, there's this emphasis on what is the purpose of these things. Just take an example. The internet. What is the purpose of the internet? What did the internet replace or supposed to replace? The internet does many things. It's communication, but it's also information, gaining information. In the past, if you didn't have the internet, you would gain information by going to a library. So the internet would replace much of the libraries, and eventually it probably will. But what is the purpose of all of that? Those are just means. And even before libraries, you would maybe go to a speech, go to a town hall meeting, or you'd go to see Socrates in the marketplace, right? That's going to see Socrates in the marketplace, going to a library, using the internet. All of those are means, and improved means, to what end? What purpose? And you can look at any technology. You can look at bicycles to cars to planes. You can really take any technology and ask the question, what has it replaced? What is its means? And then ask, what is its end? Are we going back to the example of gaining information, seeking out knowledge or insight from a speech, from a library, from the internet? Have we improved our desire or use of information? That would be looking at the end. And there's always this question, there's always this drive in, I guess, in human accomplishment or human progress. How much are we improving our means, and how much are we improving our ends? We have all kinds of researchers that are improving technology. But technology is merely it's just an improvement of an inferior product, but its purpose is something separate. But we can also improve those purposes. Like, to take a crude example, you've got various weaponry, right? You've got a bow and arrow, you've got a gun, I guess, you've got a missile or a tank or something, right? These are improved means to do some purpose. But what about that purpose? So maybe warfare is that purpose. Maybe domination or imperialism, those are the purposes. Let's discuss that. Let's discuss that idea, that tactic. Can we improve that purpose as opposed to simply improving means? And many people think that today's era, maybe the last 50 years, has been, or maybe 100 years, has been an era where we have failed to discuss sometimes what's called a normative, or or ethics, or what we're doing, essentially our purposes. And we have been focused on technological development. And technological development is just means. It's a more effective tool, but to do the same purpose, you see. But what if we could discuss that purpose instead of focusing our research dollars on improving that means? So I'll give you another example. Healthcare or medicine. This is actually a conversation I had with a professor at my university several years ago. He said to me that it's amazing how much improvements in healthcare and medicine and nutrition, I guess, has prolonged human life. But is that those extra years, like once you, right, the human longevity, I guess in some parts of the world, the mid-70s is the average lifespan, but in the Western world, I don't know if it's the high 80s or something like that is the average age. And if you take out if you don't take out tragic accidents, and if you take out kids that die in childbirth or whatever, that number goes much higher. But those extra years that we can live, maybe another 30, 40 years that we can live because of our medical advances, at least at this current time, are those years worth living? How many people after 90 have good, happy lives? Certainly some do, but many people don't. Especially those last few years, can be the standard of living. The standard of life can be quite poor. And so, is it worth prolonging human life if those last few years are years of suffering? So you see how I've differentiated here, and this is what Postman's trying to do with, I guess, Thoreau's quote. He's saying that we have means to do various things. We can always improve those means. We can always make better healthcare, better doctors, better medications, more nutritious food, or better diets, or whatever. But what about the purpose of those things? Let's discuss that.